Everyone, let's dive into a topic that sounds way more complicated than it actually is. Proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, or PNF. So what is this mouthful of words? Think of it as a special kind of stretching and strengthening that uses your body's own reflexes to get better results. It's a hands-on approach that helps wake up the connection between your brain and your muscles. The word proprioception is your body's awareness of where it is in space. You know, that feeling that lets you touch your nose with your eyes closed. PNF taps into this system to make therapy more effective and efficient. Imagine your nervous system is like the electrical wiring in a house, and your muscles are the lights. After an injury or condition, some switches get sticky, and the signal isn't getting through as strongly as it should. PNF is like an expert electrician optimizing the wiring. It doesn't just ask the muscle to work. It uses specific movement patterns and sensory cues to send a clearer, stronger signal from the brain to the muscle and back. This brain-body dialogue is what makes PNF powerful for regaining function. In simple terms, PNF equals therapist-guided techniques. So why should you, as an OT student, care so much about PNF? The answer is simple. It directly relates to the core of what occupational therapy is all about, helping people participate in their meaningful daily occupations. These occupations are all the things we do that occupy our time: brushing our teeth, playing the guitar. PNF is a powerful tool to restore the physical abilities needed for these tasks. It helps clients regain strength, range of motion, and coordination necessary to be independent. When a client can't reach up to wash their hair, PNF can help restore that specific movement pattern. Occupational therapy is all about function. We don't just want our clients to have stronger biceps. We want them to be able to carry their groceries. PNF is brilliant because its techniques are based on functional multi-joint movements. The diagonal patterns used in PNF mimic the natural movements we use every day. Think about reaching across your body to grab a seatbelt, picking up a bag from the floor. These aren't simple, single-joint motions. PNF trains the body in these realistic patterns, making the transition from the clinic to real life much smoother and more effective for your clients. Furthermore, PNF is incredibly versatile. To really understand how to use PNF, you need to grasp the fundamental principles that make it so effective. These are the secret ingredients that amplify the results. The first and most important is using maximal resistance. Now, this doesn't mean you try to overpower your client. It means applying just enough resistance so the client can move through the full range of motion while still making them work hard. This recruits the maximum number of muscle fibers, speeding strength and endurance gains. It's a constant negotiation of force between you and your client. Another key principle is using diagonal and spiral movement patterns. We don't move in straight lines. Our bodies favor rotational diagonal movement. PNF organizes two primary diagonal patterns for the arms for the legs. These patterns cross the midline and incorporate rotation. Training these patterns teaches muscles and joints to work together as a team, like when you reach for an object or kick a ball. This makes therapy directly applicable to real-world function. Sensory input or facilitation is central to PNF. Let's get into the practical side of things. The first set of patterns, the D1 patterns for the upper extremity. The D stands for diagonal. The easiest way to remember the D1 pattern is to think of buckling a seatbelt, grabbing an apple from a tree, putting it in a basket on the opposite side. It's a motion that moves across your body. We'll break down both flexion extension D1. Flexion is the up and across motion. Imagine your client is reaching for that seatbelt from the passenger side of a car. Their arm starts down by their side, slightly away from their body, with the palm facing backward. To begin the D1 flexion pattern, the client's starting position is with their arm extended, abducted, meaning away from the body, and internally rotated. Think of their hand being down by their right hip if they are using their right arm, with the thumb pointing down. The verbal cue you would give is, "Squeeze my hand and pull up and across your face." As they perform this movement, their arm will flex, adduct, move across their body, and externally rotate. They will end with their hand up past their opposite shoulder as if they've just buckled that seatbelt, with their bicep close to their ear and their palm facing them. Now for the second set of patterns, the D2 patterns. To remember these, think of drawing a sword from a scabbard at your opposite hip and raising it up in a triumphant pose. This pattern is often called the sword or disco pattern. It's another crucial diagonal movement we use frequently in daily life, like combing your hair on the opposite side or reaching up to a high shelf. D2. Flexion is the up and away motion. The starting position is with the client's arm across their body, as if their hand is resting on their opposite front pocket. For D2 flexion, the client starts with their arm adducted, extended, and internally rotated. Their thumb is pointing down towards their hip. Your verbal cue will be, open your hand and lift your arm up and out. As they move, their arm will flex, abduct, and externally rotate. The movement finishes with their arm up and out to the side, above shoulder level with their palm facing forward. It's like they've just drawn that sword and are holding it high. Throughout the motion, you are providing manual contact and smooth resistance. Beyond the diagonal patterns, PNF includes specific techniques to increase range of motion and reduce muscle tightness. Two of the most common and useful for OTs are hold relax, contract relax. Let's start with hold relax. This technique is fantastic for clients who have pain or limitation when stretching. The goal is to use an isometric contraction, where the muscle contracts but doesn't change length to relax the muscle and allow for a greater stretch. It's based on the principle of autogenic inhibition, where a strong contraction causes a reflex relaxation in the same muscle. Here's the step-by-step for hold relax. First, you passively move the client's limb to the point of tissue resistance, right where they start to feel a gentle stretch. Let's say you're trying to increase their shoulder flexion. You'd lift their arm until you feel that first bit of tightness. Then, you instruct the client to hold, don't let me move you. You then apply resistance as they try to push their arm back down into extension for about 5 to 10 seconds. It's crucial they don't actually move. It's a static hold. The real magic of PNF happens when you connect these patterns and techniques to your client's actual life. Theory is great, but application is what changes lives. As an OT, your job is to be that bridge. Let's think about a client who has had a stroke and has weakness on one side of their body, making it difficult to get dressed. Getting dressed involves a lot of reaching across the body, pulling, manipulating clothes. The D1 flexion pattern, the seatbelt motion, is almost identical to pulling a shirt over your head from the back. Practice the D1 pattern on the therapy mat, then transition to practicing pulling on a shirt. Use the hold relax technique to increase shoulder range of motion so they can reach further behind them. Guide them through D1 flexion while they hold the shirt, provide assistance and resistance as needed. This directly translates the therapeutic exercise into a meaningful, functional skill. The client isn't just strengthening their arm, they are relearning how to get dressed independently. Let's take another example. A client recovering from a shoulder injury. As a student, PNF can seem intimidating at first. There are patterns, techniques, and principles to remember. My biggest tip, practice, practice, practice. Grab a classmate, be each other's client. D1 arm pattern, D2 arm pattern, D1 leg pattern, D2 leg pattern. Pay close attention to hand placement. Hands guide the movement. Hands provide resistance. Hands give sensory feedback. Get comfortable with the feel of the movement. Practice the timing of your verbal cues. The more you practice, the more intuitive it becomes. Talk through the movements out loud. Say the cues clearly. Squeeze my hand. Pull up and across. Open your hand. Push down and out. Saying cues helps your client and reinforces steps for you. It links the verbal command to action. Have the client watch their hand as it moves.